So what's really happening? I've looked into it, and here's the gist in clear, straightforward English so everyone can follow. To set the scene, Nnamdi Kanu is the leader of the banned group Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB. He has been under trial in Nigeria on terrorism-related charges tied to his campaigning for secession of parts of Nigeria. The court recently set the date for the final judgment, for the judgment to be delivered in this high-profile case. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Just ahead of that judgment, Kanu filed what is called a fresh motion in court, asking the court to throw out all the charges against him. He argues that the laws used to charge him are invalid, repealed, or don't apply. Specifically, his motion says the prosecution cited laws that have been replaced or are non-existent,
thereby stripping the court's jurisdiction. At the same time, this is stirring up broader implications. The aide of President Bola Tinubu is involved in the narrative mentioned in the headline, and it's tied to how the government is handling the entire situation. The pressure is piling up: legal, political, societal. So let's break this down in pieces. 1. What is Kanu saying? Kanu's motion argues the charges disclose no offense known to law because some of the statutes cited are repealed. For example, he points out that the Customs and Excise Management Act, CEMA, was replaced by the Nigeria Customs Service Act of 2023, and that the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act of 2013 was repealed by the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act of 2022. His submission emphasizes that Nigeria cannot try someone for an offense not defined under a valid law, citing Section 36(2)12 of the 1999 Constitution. He also argues that some alleged offenses happened outside Nigeria in Kenya, and thus, he says, the Nigerian court has no extraterritorial jurisdiction. 2. What is the court's position so far? The court has given Kanu a final chance to defend himself. For instance, a recent hearing saw the court warn him that if he doesn't open his defense within the allocated time, his right to defense might be foreclosed. The judgment date has been set. The court will deliver verdict around 20th November 2025. 3. Why does this matter politically and socially? This case stands at the intersection of law, politics, and ethnic regional tensions. Kanu and IPOB have deep roots in sowing frustration in the southeast region of Nigeria, especially among the Igbo people. The secessionist narrative from the 1967-70 civil war still resonates. The way the government handles this could affect national unity, perceptions of fairness in the justice system, and electoral politics, given the headline mentions Tinubu's aide, suggesting links to the presidency and how the government is viewed. If someone like Kanu succeeds in a technical legal motion, it may raise questions about selective justice or the strength of the prosecution. 4. What to watch for next? Will the court grant the motion and strike out the charges, which would be a major twist? Or will it reject the motion and proceed to judgment, meaning Kanu will have to wait for the final verdict? How will the government respond publicly? Will President Tinubu or his aides comment further? What effects will this have on public opinion in the southeast and across Nigeria? Could protests erupt as they have before? What about the timing of the judgment date? Does this play into any broader political schedule, elections, etc.? 5. What's the broader context, and why does this strike back motion feel explosive? Because the motion isn't just a typical defense. Kanu is challenging the very foundation of the prosecution's case, the validity of laws, and the jurisdiction of the court. If successful, this could set precedent for similar cases. Also, given its timing just ahead of judgment, it shifts pressure back onto the government and court. The mention of Tinubu's aide adds flavor. It suggests the government cannot sit quietly. This is now headline making, not just courtroom whispers. 6. Why you should care, and why I think you should watch this space. This is about rule of law. If someone can argue successfully that charges are invalid because of legal technicalities, it matters for all of us in Nigeria who depend on fair law enforcement. This is about political stability, how the government handles dissent, perceived marginalization, or accusations of bias may feed into greater unrest. This is about leadership and accountability. When a high-profile case connects to the presidency circle via Tinubu's aide, people will naturally ask whether justice is blind or influenced. Now, don't forget, if you're enjoying this explanation, hit the like button and make sure you subscribe so you're notified when we bring the next updates on this story.
And leave a comment below. What do you think will happen? Will the motion succeed? Should the government respond differently? We'll stay on top of developments and I'll bring you further analysis after the judgment on 20th November, if it holds, or whenever the court moves. Thanks for watching. Stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll see you in the next update. Now, let's talk about the political angle. The headline mentions Tinubu's aide, which is significant. This suggests that the presidency is directly linked to the handling of this case. It's not just a courtroom drama anymore. It's about how the government is being perceived. People are watching. Is justice being applied fairly, or is it influenced by politics? That's why this motion is being called explosive. It puts the government under pressure just days before a final judgment.
Another key point, the timing. Kanu filed this motion just before the final judgment. Timing is everything in politics and legal battles. By filing it now, he is forcing the court and the government to respond to fresh arguments, and this can delay proceedings or even change the way the judgment is delivered. It's a classic legal strategy. File last-minute motions to shift the narrative. And here's something everyone should understand. This isn't just about Kanu. The case is symbolic. For many in the Southeast, it's about ethnic identity and marginalization. Kanu has supporters who believe he is standing up for the rights of the Igbo people. Others see him as a separatist who challenges Nigeria's unity. So every move he makes, including this motion, sparks reactions across the country, social media debates, political statements, even protests. Speaking of reactions, let's consider what might happen next. If the court accepts the motion, it could strike out the charges, which would be seen as a huge victory for Kanu. If it rejects the motion, the court proceeds to final judgment and the verdict will be a major national story. Either way, we are witnessing history in the making. Also, it's worth noting how legal experts are analyzing this. Some say Kanu's motion is technically strong, pointing out the repealed laws and jurisdiction issues. Others argue that the courts may see it as a delaying tactic. This debate is exactly what keeps viewers glued to the story because it's a mix of law, strategy, and politics. And here's a perspective for all of us. The government's response is critical. Tinubu's administration has to balance law enforcement with public perception. If they appear too heavy-handed, it could inflame tensions. If they appear weak, critics will say the government cannot uphold the law. Either way, the motion and the final judgments are putting the administration in the spotlight. Don't forget to hit the like button if you are following this story and subscribe so you won't miss the live reactions after the judgment. Also, leave your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Kanu's motion has a chance? Should the government reconsider its approach? I want to hear from you because this is a story that touches every Nigerian. Finally, the human angle. Beyond law and politics, this case affects families, communities, and even business confidence in the regions. People are anxious, people are talking, and the social impact is real. It's not just a headline, it's about lives, trust in institutions, and the stability of our democracy. So, stay tuned, keep watching, and I promise to bring you full analysis and updates as this story unfolds. Make sure your notifications are on because the next development could come any day, maybe even before the final judgment. And again, hit like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts. The gist is clear. Nnamdi Kanu has thrown a major curveball just before judgment. His motion challenges the foundation of the case, pressures the government, sparks public debate, and keeps everyone guessing what will happen next.
For those who love political drama, legal strategy, and Nigerian news, this is the story to watch.